What's going on? Welcome to Reality Theory, episode 19, Kamala Harris and the Knights Templar Masonic Police Force. So this is a story that happened 7 years ago, before Kamala Harris was even a senator from California, while she was still Attorney General and running for Senator of California. It turned out that one of her aides, a guy named Brandon Kiel, was pretending to have his own police force, which she called the Masonic Fraternal Police Force. And so yeah, let's get into it without further doubt. It's a very interesting story. So I've done my previous two episodes were on first was the Knights of Malta and how they're connected to Donald Trump and Eric Prince, the head of Blackwater. So Knights of Malta is a fraternal order started by the Catholic Church, which still exists today. And it has a lot of very influential members. And there's also the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar were kicked out of the Catholic Church in the Middle Ages, right? But they still have a big influence on what's going on today, especially in how they influence Masons. So Freemasons are a group that also started in the Middle Ages, and they were like a guild for builders. So they would build churches, build castles, build all these things, and eventually formed like a union or a guild, which kind of evolved in some of a secret society. So they had these meetings, and then the Masons would allow other people in. So these would be non-builder Masons, but who still had their kind of secret society outlook. So these three people right here were arrested for running their own Masonic police force, which they were actually reaching out to other police forces saying, hey, we want to work with you guys. It didn't seem like they had any agenda in terms of like ripping people off or scamming people. It seems like they genuinely wanted to work with other police forces to protect Masons and be their own police force. So the three people were David Henry, aka Illuminati Grandmaster X, aka Inc., Tanette Hayes, and Brandon Kiel. Now, Brandon Kiel was the aide for Kamala Harris, and he was actually, before the scandal, he was planning on taking Kamala Harris's Senate seat after she left. I think he might even be planning to run for Senate as well, but it never happened. So what happened to these three guys? They were arrested for running for police force, but none of them ever got convicted because David Inc. Henry, who was also known as Grandmaster Illuminati X, that's his name for himself, not mine. He actually died after appearing in court. So this is a very kind of Godfather type thing. The witness dies in court. And, there's no other crime. So this is what I like to think as a suspicious death. He didn't seem to have any major health issues, and then finally, right before or right after he goes to court, where he could possibly unveil a lot of information about a secret Masonic police force, he dies. Okay, so he died. He died right after court. So, and then they threw out the other two cases against the two other people involved in the case. So here we go. A bizarre case against three people accused of promoting themselves as members of a fraternal police force that traces its roots back 3,000 years collapsed when the charges against one defendant were dismissed and the organization's so-called chief suddenly died. A website for the Masonic Fraternal Police, which claims jurisdiction in 33 states and Mexico, said the group was created by the Knights Templar in 1100 BC. So we've gone over the Knights Templar in my last episode about the Sound of Freedom, and the two producers, writers of the Sound of Freedom, Tim Ballard and Paul Hutchinson, are members of the Knights Templar. J. Edgar Hoover is also a member of the Knights Templar, and my other episode was on the Knights of Malta. Now, the difference between the Knights of Malta and the Knights of Templar is that the Knights of Malta are still part of the Catholic Church. They have some Masonic influences, even though the Catholic Church has kind of banned Freemasons. There's a big Masonic influence in the Knights of Malta, and they're still very powerful. They're still in Malta. They have their own state in the Vatican. A lot of CIA directors are Knights of Malta. A lot of people at Blackwater are Knights of Malta. But there's also Knights Templar. Now, these guys, they were all crusaders. That the Knights Templar and the Knights Malta, they started off in the crusade fighting Muslims for the Holy Land. So there's a lot of slaughtering and fighting going on. Eventually, the Knights of Templar were banned by the Catholic Church for sodomy, which is homosexual sex, and heresy, which is worshiping false gods. And apparently they had all sorts of crazy rituals, which would, for initiation, which required a lot of kissing and other homosexual acts just for like rituals. And also they were supposed to worship a kind of goat's head demon body called Baphomet. So that's where the heresy comes in. The criminal case unraveled when David Ink Henry, the 47-year-old grandmaster of the organization, died of a pulmonary embolism on Monday, hours after appearing in a Los Angeles court, the Los Angeles Times reported. And here's another story on the same incident. The case against 3 people accused of operating the bogus Masonic Fraternal Police Department, a supposedly ancient force that claimed to work in 33 states in Mexico, partly collapsed on Monday when the charges against one defendant were dismissed and the organization's so-called chief suddenly died. Hours after he appeared in a San Fernando courtroom, David Ink Henry, the 47-year-old grandmaster, died of a pulmonary embolism at Henry Mayo Newell Memorial Hospital, attorney Gary Castman said. Early in the day, LA County Superior Court Judge Hayden Zaki had granted a motion to dismiss the charges against Brandon Kiel, a formerly community affairs staffer with the California Department of Justice, whom authorities said had impersonated a police officer and misused his government ID. So that's Kamala Harris's aide, and he's impersonating a police officer. And I don't think these people thought they were impersonating a police officer. I think they really thought they were like the Masonic police, and they thought they were justified in it by like a higher cause. And he would use his government issued ID that he got from Kamala Harris to, show that he really is a official police officer, even though he's a Masonic police officer that has no seeming connection to the United States government. So these guys are called, this is the group, Sir Briley's Knights of Luxor, Knights Templars, Grand Lodge, AASR. So they are naming themselves after the Knights Templar. This is actually an African-American organization, as we will see when I show you the pictures. Kiel apparently held a similar title for the Masonic Fraternal Police Department, Chief Deputy Director. So he has a role in this Masonic Police Department, which is how he identified himself to law enforcement authorities when he called them earlier this year. So he was calling up. He wasn't trying to hide himself from the police. He was trying to make himself known to the police. So he's calling up all these police departments and writing them letters to request meetings. So to request meetings with several local police chiefs. Captain Roosevelt Johnson of the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station met with Henry and grew suspicious of his group when they could not answer basic questions about the MFPD's jurisdiction and overall department mission. Okay. It just raised my suspicion level, Sheriff's Captain Roosevelt Johnson told the newspaper at the time. Investigators staged an undercover operation last April in which they recorded the group's meeting with Santa Monica Police Chief Jacqueline Seabrooks. Detective Amalia Hernandez testified that Kiel did much of the talking and said the group would only handle matters internal to the Masonic group. Kiel also said the State Department of Justice was well aware and supportive of the Masonic Fraternal Police Department, Hernandez said. So was Kamala Harris, who was at the time the head of the State Department of Justice of California, was she aware of this Masonic Police Department? Were they helping her out? It's unclear because David Ink Henry died and there was never really a trial. The 3 people were initially charged with misdemeanor counts of falsely representing themselves as police officers. Henry was also charged with 3 felony counts of perjury. Prosecutors later accused them of perjury and conspiracy to commit perjury by procuring fee-exempt license plates from the Department of Motor Vehicles. So they really are trying to get like, I don't know if they were trying to get like license plates that said like Masonic the police department, or saying, hey, we're the police department, so we get free license plates. That seems a relatively minor charge. Most of the notoriety derived from Kiel's role within Attorney General Kamala D. Harris administration, as well as the bogus police force eccentric online presence, including a website in which members claimed to descend from the Knights Templar. Social media accounts associated with Henry also referred to secret societies such as the Freemasons and Illuminati, adding to the intrigue. So I didn't make this meme. I didn't add the Illuminati Grandmaster. This is David Henry X's own meme of himself, calling himself an Illuminati Grandmaster. And I thought, maybe the first rule of Illuminati is don't call yourself Illuminati, but he's he's being a little flagrant with his Illuminati membership, and maybe that's why he got killed. So here he is again. This is Grandmaster Henry X. This is his own meme, and he says he made 40,000 Freemasons in 1997 in Mexico. Imagine my army now, 2014. So apparently he went to Mexico and recruited 40,000 Freemasons to join his Knights Templar, which is very interesting because there is a cartel called the Knights Templar in Mexico, and they're also a very religious cartel, and they also look up to the Knights Templar like a lot of these Masonic groups do, like a lot of right-wing extremists do, and apparently even African-American Democrats also look up to these Knights of Templar as well. Here he is again, Illuminati Grandmaster X with other Masons. We kind of see the looking like an old school rap group, which is interesting because Grandmaster Henry X is actually a rapper from the 80s who rapped with Ice-T, which we'll get into. So, okay, the story began when Henry's group sent introductory letters to several law enforcement agencies, according to the Sheriff's Department. So they're not hiding themselves. They're letting people know we're the Masonic Fraternal Police Department. They're specifically letting other police departments know. According to the Sheriff's Department, Kiel followed up with phone calls requesting meetings. The 3 suspects ended up meeting with sheriff's officials in Santa Clarita. Not surprisingly, the deputies thought the whole thing was strange. They claimed they were descendants of the Knights Templar and that their police agency had been in existence for 3,000 years, the department said in a statement. Additionally, they claimed MFPD had sovereign jurisdiction in 33 states and across the border in Mexico. On April 29th, the Sheriff's Department served search warrants at 2 locations in Santa Clarita. They found badges, weapons, uniforms, and police-type vehicles. So they had all these things, and no one ever got busted for it. I don't know if they had any weapons charges or they were licensed weapons, but they were found with weapons, guns, police uniforms, and police vehicles. According to the Sheriff's Department, Henry, Kays, and Kiel were arrested and released the following day, according to jail records. They face misdemeanor charges of impersonating an officer. Henry also faces felony perjury charges. Henry and Hayes were licensed to run a private investigations company, MIB. I don't know what that stands for, Men in Black. Investigative agency, according to state records. That license is suspended. Both also have active firearm permits as security guards. So I guess they did have licensed guns, apparently. Bacon says such activities were not condoned by the fraternal organization. We do things in the community, support kids, go to convalescent hospitals, give away gifts, Bacon says. We don't support guns. That's not us. So Bacon is a Mason spokesperson. Bacon says Masons have secret handshakes and passwords which symbolize their fraternal bonds, and some lodges do have Knights Templar groups who provide security, but he says they always operate within the lodge, never in the community. So the Masons, they do have very secretive initiations, which is interesting. They also have secretive meetings, and usually they'll have a guard by the door, so no one else who isn't a Mason can come in and see what these Masons are talking about or discussing. So this is why people are worried about secret societies, and when we get to a higher power level. So here's actually their website. They had a website, and on the website, they said they were partners with the California Highway Patrol, the Georgia State Patrol, the Iowa State Patrol, and the Connecticut State Police. And we see their Masonic values are obligation, honor, justice, honor, and charity. So they weren't hiding from anybody, really. They weren't like sneaky trying to pretend they're police officers and rip people off and stuff. They were actually promoting themselves on the internet to other police officers. And we'll get into some more of the self-promotion. So they were actually connected to Black Lives Matter as well. They were actually, when the Trayvon Martin incident happened and there were a lot of demonstrations and protests, these Black Illuminati Knights Templar actually, wore all their robes and everything to these protests. And I guess they met Patrisse Cullors, who was the former founder or former head of Black Lives Matter and co-founder of Black Lives Matter. Patrisse Cullors, a civil rights activist and the co-founder of Black Lives Matter, said she first met Kiel at a League of Women's Voters event at which he mentioned his support he mentioned his work for the Attorney General. He was super clean cut and seemed really legit, she said. Kiel later introduced her to Henry and Hayes, who was wearing a priest collar. Hayes and Henry both described themselves as Freemasons, but not offer more specifics, Cullors said. Both would later stand alongside Cullors at a downtown news conference denouncing violence in LA County jails, but Cullors said she stopped associating with them last summer. Things got really odd, Cullors said. It wasn't clear what was happening with them. In November 2014, a site that claimed to be the Masonic Fraternal Police Department's official website was registered. In January, the group mailed letters to police chiefs across California announcing Henry's role as the head of their police force. So again, they're not hiding the fact that they were a police force. They really believed they were a police force. So this is from the LA Watch weekly story about these Knights Templar of Sir Briley's Masonic Lodge or the Fraternal Masonic Police Department. Supreme Sovereign Grandmaster David Henry X introduced RW Deputy Commander Kevin Briley, 33 degrees, and RW Grand High Priest Brandon Kiel, 33 degrees. So that's like the highest level Mason you could be, is a 33 degree Mason, and Brandon Kiel, Kamala's aide, was a 33 degree Mason, to address the audience and bring greetings on behalf of Minister and Grand Matron Tonette Henry. So Tonette Henry was the other Masonic Police Department, was also a minister of the Lady Jewel of the Nile Grand Chapter of the Order of the Eastern Stars. Minister Henry could not be in attendance as she was the keynote speaker at an event for the very important upcoming runoff for LA County Sheriff. So these guys are very involved in Los Angeles and California politics, as we will see. GHP Kiel recognized her in her absence, giving thanks to the Political Clergy Council's founder and CEO, Minister MWGM Tonette Henry, for her continuous hard work, dedication, and strong spiritual leadership in Southern California. RW Grand High Priest Brandon Kiel serves as the Deputy Director of Community Affairs for Attorney General Kamala D. Harris. Okay. Kiel informed the audience of the Attorney General's unyielding commitment to education and the importance of each and every member's obligation to ensure that every child is reading by the third grade at an third grade reading level, as well as having perfect attendance. Kiel provided shocking information about the staggering number of elementary students who were truant in California and how the Attorney General needs their support to address this critical issue. So I don't know if you remember, but Kamala Harris actually wound up having a bill locking up parents whose students were truant. So if a kid didn't go to school, she would lock up their parents, which it doesn't seem like it could help in any way. So now these kids who aren't going to school already, now they don't have parents to raise them. And now these parents who might have issues with their children are getting locked up because their kids aren't going to school. In a state where you already have too much mass incarceration, she's adding new rules to lock up parents. Kiel received a large round of applause. Freemasonry is the largest and oldest fraternal organization in the world. The rich Masonic history in Southern California can only be preserved if the knowledge from pioneers like Honorable Grandmaster Gauth, 33 degrees, Honorable Grandmaster Ramirez, 30 degrees, and Honorable Grandmaster Hibbler is passed down to those who are worthy to teach and build. So that's seems like a press release from the Masons to the LA Watts website. I think I said this already. So here is a picture of David Henry X with Bill Clinton right here. And here is a picture of Grandmaster Henry X with Jerry Brown. So he's very tied into California politics and politics in general. So he actually has his own YouTube channel, which I recommend everyone go to. And he actually has a lot of videos which kind of tell a lot about him. So we have here, he says Illuminati Grandmaster Henry X, and this is what he calls himself. and Ice-T. So he was actually in the Rhyme Syndicate, a group rapper Ice-T had in the 80s. So he was a rapper during the 80s. And we see at the bottom, Illuminati Grandmaster David Henry X Fox News. So he won an Emmy, and according to him, he was an investigative journalist. And he won an Emmy for a Fox LA documentary on terrorism after 9/11. So on his YouTube channel, he left a lot of comments before he died. So here he is. So this is him calling himself this. Illuminati Grandmaster Henry X, Ice-T. Grandmaster Henry X. Yes, I was original member of Ice-T and the Rhyme Syndicate. I was with Ice-T from 1983 to 1991. My name was Ink. I'm the same person on the Power album High Rollers. I'm the young guy standing next to the DJ Evil E on this video. Also on High Rollers, I'm the guy in the red shirt that asked Ice about people getting shot up on Crenshaw. We were on the Dope Jam Tour, Public Enemy, EPMD, Big Daddy Kane, NWA, the list goes on. So that's him talking about in this comment section, talking about him being down with Ice-T. So he also talks about his role as a Fox News investigative journalist and documentary producer. Illuminati Grandmaster David Henry X, Fox News. Grandmaster Henry X receiving an Emmy Award with investigative producer and Masonic brother Alfredo Romero, 33-degree Muslim. Grandmaster Henry X was an investigative producer for Fox News for 17 and a half years, and with Geraldo Rivera and Greg Hart for 25 years as one of the best investigative producer and Fox News investigative reporter. Grandmaster Henry X has no need to lie or brag. He is recognized and honored and nominated as an investigative reporter and producer in the world by the Academy of Television Arts and Science. So these are just a bunch of hashtags he's using, which I think are really interesting. So he has all these hashtags. One is Illuminati, another himself, Sovereign Grandmaster, so sovereign citizen, Masonic Fraternal, Protect All Masons, Grandmasters, Freemans, Knights Templar, Royal Archmasons, David Henry, the Order, Sovereign Jurisdictions, California. So he's saying that jurisdictions of his police department are California, Los Angeles specifically, Texas, Detroit, Chicago, Miami, New York, Kansas, Alabama, St. Louis, Philadelphia, and Mexico. So I'm not sure if these cities and states have their own Masonic police department, or there's a lot of Masons in these police departments, but he really thought he had jurisdiction over these places. It's not, you know. So here is Grandmaster Henry X with Tanet Hayes. Here we have him again. So here's him with Maxine Waters, congressman from California, to the right. And on the left, we have him with Los Angeles Assemblyman Mike Davis. So we definitely see the Masonic drip, the clothes, the chains, the top hats, the patches. So here we have a couple videos where he actually addresses Kamala Harris and Barack Obama.
To the California Attorney General Kamala Harris, we sent out faxes and emails to all agencies and all sources connected to us. We want you to understand that there is a certain group out there trying to destroy your campaign for Senate. That's why they attacked us. That's why they attacked Brandon Kiel. The people that are trying to destroy your campaign for Senate are Leroy Guillory, Hawthorne Mayor Chris Brown.
All right, that's one. And so that's him talking to Kamala Harris. And then here's him talking to Barack Obama.
Attorney General Kamala Harris. To President Barack Obama, U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and California Attorney General Kamala Harris. My life has been threatened by L.A. Sheriff Detective Amelia Hernandez. members of our Masonic Fraternal Organization also said she not only threatened my life, she threatened Reverend Tonette Hayes' life and Brandon Kiel's life too. They want us dead, all because we started a black Masonic Fraternal Police Department. Now, what does a police department have to do with the Attorney General? I'll tell you, Brandon Kiel was our Grand High Priest of our Masonic organization, the Royal Arch. So, what the LA Sheriff Department did, and Mayor Chris Brown and Leroy.
All right. So, yeah, interesting. Now, we see Knights Templar on both sides, right? We go back to my previous episodes, but my last two episodes, episodes 17 and 18 on the Knights of Malta and the Knights Templar. I really get into it. I show all the pictures. I tell the stories of them going back to the Middle Ages. But we see the influence on both the left and the right of the Knights Templar, who were a crusading force in the Middle East, and the influence of secret societies and politics. So, and also suspicious death. How did David Henry X die? He just died right after he went to court. Very convenient death for anybody he might have had information on. So yeah, so this is Reality Theory episode 19. Yeah, 19. If you made it this far, definitely like, subscribe, share your videos, put it in your group chats with your friends, share it on Facebook, share it on Reddit, share it on Twitter. Talk about it. Talk about this stuff on Instagram, and tell people to come watch my videos on my Casey Gain YouTube channel. Thanks a lot. This is Casey Gain checking out of Reality Theory.